I'm with the International Ocean Discovery Program here at Texas A&M University. My name is Philip Gates. Our cyber infrastructure is distributed between facilities that we have here in College Station, Texas, as well as on the research vessel, the Geordie's Resolution at sea, currently just off the coast of South Africa in the Indian Ocean. We have for several decades now had web-facing data access tools for the public, whether that was with our previous platform, Janus, still in production, or our current LIMS database and its attendant web services and applications. So people all over the world can access IODP data that's out of moratorium using facilities that we keep in a data center here at Texas A&M University. We also provide archive of that data to NCEI in Boulder, Colorado. And then we also have the Janus and LIMS databases aboard the vessel with the necessary applications there to capture the data, upload the data, and then make the data available for consumption aboard the vessel. Much like many of the UNOLS vessels, we rely on geostationary satellites to provide communication for the vessel. We have a committed information rate of 3 megabits up and down, with opportunities to expand sometimes as high as 10 or 12 or 13 megabits per second down, depending on availability. And then that is something that is provided by the owner of the vessel that we use. Actually, we use their service, but we have our own channel space. So they have their own channel space and don't impinge on our science capabilities there. So make the best that we can of that. This is the Geordie's Resolution. It's almost 500 feet long. It was built in the early 70s for British Petroleum and then substantially modified for scientific ocean drilling. The vessel does take the crew and science parties to some pretty spectacular locations so that they can produce spectacular core samples of the Earth. Fundamentally, the vessel is a stabilized drilling platform where a skilled drilling crew works very hard to meet the scientific objectives of each expedition. Not always the easiest thing. Curation and measurement of the core samples begins immediately after the core is up on deck. We have a big catwalk where the scientists and staff can immediately work on what's been recovered. And then those measurements continue inside the shipboard laboratories using IODP designed automated instrument tracks along with more traditional manual methods of measurement. The environment for the vessel can be simultaneously beautiful and hazardous. And those hazards have to be tracked and assessed by the maritime and management teams so that we can operate safely. Some days at sea, the conditions can be overwhelming. If you've ever seen the film or read the book, A Perfect Storm, this photograph was made many years ago off the coast of Greenland, where a storm did hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage to the Geordie's Resolution and provided a lot of fear during that expeditions. It's hard to think about IT in conditions like that. At times, the vessel can exhibit a lot of motion, which is a challenge for everyone. Meanwhile, though, 8 feet below the waterline, we have our shipboard data center. Much like any other data center you might see, we have redundant environmental systems, protected power, and fire suppression. We have pretty much anything you might expect in an enterprise IT environment: virtual servers, storage arrays, networking technologies, workstations, laptops, printers, plotter scanners, anything you might dream of there. No supercomputing, but pretty much any enterprise IT that you might imagine. And we even have our own fire and safety inspectors. So here's one down in our data center right now. 4 of my colleagues from Texas A&M University sail on each expedition. They provide a software developer and a computer specialist on each 12-hour shift. I think Dan mentioned earlier the challenges of having so many responsibilities invested in a small amount of human capital, and that's certainly something that we contend with as well. These these marine computer specialists, when they're on their shift, it's pretty much all up to them. They can reach out to us on shore if they need something, but for the most part, whether it's a desktop help desk call or something about communications or servers, backups, you name it, it's going to be up to them on that 12-hour shift. And same is true for our talented software developers who work hard to make sure that the data stays flowing aboard the facility. For those that work up in the bridge of the Geordes resolution, visibility is pretty good and they have a lot of control. I think for cyber infrastructure concerns for major facilities, I think having visibility into your own organization and its needs, as well as understanding, as we're doing here, what other major facilities are confronted with, provides a lot of opportunity to understand those challenges and work together on that. For the International Ocean Discovery Program, IT, we have a lot of challenges like what we heard from UNOLS about cloud-only IT resources, including software titles like Adobe and Atlassian, tracking and addressing the ever-growing compliance controls that we're confronted with, such as security and data classification. The expense and prudent use of an expensive satellite communications link, and then rolling out new IT capabilities without interrupting the operation of an expensive drilling and core processing operation are all challenges that we contend with or attempt to at IODP. I gave some thought to socio-technical and other CI collaboration challenges. I think one of the things that I'm sure we heard mentioned previously with UNOLS, but it's certainly true for those that work on the Geordes resolution. Each individual or science party, they all show up aboard with devices that they brought with them. And with all of the cloud-based communications platforms that are available today, a lot also come aboard with the expectation that that's going to be connected around the clock, much as they are when they're back at home or at their home institution. This brings with it not only the challenges for a small and slow communications link, but all of the concerns around security and data protection. So that's a challenge for us. It's ongoing. For the National Science Foundation sponsored major facilities and cyber infrastructure, the challenge that I see, and I think we heard a little bit ago about one size fits all solutions, but I think the challenge for this team is trying to understand what shared services and solutions could be provided to fill the needs of as many of the NSF projects as possible. Huge diversity that we see of scientific research and approaches to that and IT solutions there. But if we can work together to identify solutions that could work for many of those, that would be a big plus. Short and sweet for me, that's all I've got for you. Here's some contact information about if you want to learn more about the International Ocean Discovery Program, there's some links. Check out our YouTube channel, and of course, my email address. I'm available to you if you have questions or anything like that. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.